Good morning everyone, it's Tutorial Tuesday, and this week I want to show you guys how to make felt flowers, and we're going to make it into a headband. You can also do a hair bow. I'll show you one that I have made so you can see it, but the focus today is going to be the headband. Okay, so what I like to do is use the template for the rolled roses that I use for paper roses. I'm going to select one of the ones I already have on my screen, and over in my layers panel here, I'm going to right click on it, go down to image info, and it says I used, you make sure you use the pound sign and a capital M, and it's M3D7E1, and it's on the Flower Shop cartridge if you're looking for it. So I use this spiral. I'll put it over a little bit so you guys can see it. You have to keep in mind too when doing the felt flowers that they are not going to roll as tightly as the paper. So when you are doing the sizing, you're not going to be able to use the same size chart that you use for the paper flowers. So you can see here I have a 4-inch wide cut. Let's zoom in a little bit for you guys. I have a 4-inch wide cut, and I don't remember the exact dimension of my final rolled flower, but we will measure that out later so you can see how it differs. Okay, so I put some leaves out here. I like to do that just because I put them in the sides and it covers up a little bit of that glue that we can get. So these are from the cartridge environment leaf icon, and it's from the let's see which cartridge. It's from the environment plants icon cartridge, so you can look that up. I'll grab the number for you guys here. It's MA040BFB. And then I have these 3 little circles here. You can do this before or after. I have this file saved from previous headbands I've made, so I didn't need to redo it. But this is going to be the base that your flowers stick to, and so that it kind of makes a sandwich in between the nylon stocking we're going to use as the headband. So I used, I believe, I made a separate one here to show you guys. These circles are about 1.6 inches, a little bit smaller than that, and I just kind of overlapped them, and if you select all and weld, it'll make it one cohesive piece that we can use for the base. Okay, so I already cut my flowers, but I'm going to show you guys what I do. I used my maker. I'm going to hit make it, continue, select my maker, and it defaults to using the fine point blade, but I used my rotary blade for this. So just in case you've never done this before, I'm going to quickly show you guys how to override it, and then I'll show you how we roll the flowers and put it all together. I already have felt favorited as one of my materials because I use it a lot, so I'm going to select it, and then we can go right over to the edit tools option here, select the rotary blade, and continue, and you can see that changed it here for us, so it defaults, it goes to the rotary blade, so we can use that. Okay, so I used my pink mat, and I want to show you guys quickly. I'm going to set this aside, we don't need it anymore. I'm going to show you guys quickly. I used some cheap felt from Michaels. It's very thin, so it breaks apart on the mat. So when I take my flower off, I very carefully kind of roll it like this to make sure that it doesn't break apart. I'll show you guys up close because I didn't roll this one yet. You have the really thin connectors, you know, it's here. So it does, I have torn a few. So you want to keep it, remove it from your mat very carefully if you're using a thinner felt. So I already rolled these ones here. You can kind of see, you know, how it is, but once we attach it to the base, that's okay. You can see how it looks. I'll put this here on my self-healing mat, and you can see it's about a 2-inch, whoops, it's about a 2-inch around final product. So I would say that cut your, my 4-inch wide cut made a 2-inch wide flowers. So I would say a good estimate is that you're going to cut that width in half for your final product, just to keep that in mind. So I already did these two. I'm going to put them over here. I'm going to go ahead and roll these. I have my hot glue already going. I made that stand with my maker and some chipboard and the knife blade. In case anyone's wondering, I get asked a lot about it, so I'll tell you now. I have had my glue going for a while. Felt is not very forgiving once you put hot glue on it, so I make sure mine's extremely, extremely hot when I do it. Sometimes if you just turn your glue gun on and you know it's not super, super hot where it's really runny, and I don't like that, so I make sure it's really, really hot. In case you're wondering about the felt, I'll also include a link in the description, but here is what I used. It's Creatology Basic Felt. The blue one is Peacock. I don't remember the exact colors of the pink and the purple, but I'm pretty sure they only have one light pink and one light purple. There's a lot of blues, so I saved this for you guys. It comes in a 9x12 sheet, and I think it's about 40 cents, so it's really cheap. Okay, so what I like to do, I use my tweezers like I do for my paper flowers, start at the end here. And I only use these to roll a little bit. I find that I was ripping them and it kind of gets out of control. So I just do these for a few little rolls here. And then I take my tweezers out, and I like to do it like this, where I hold it kind of upside down and very carefully wrap it around. Now remember, I'm using a very thin felt, so I very carefully do this. I don't want to pull it. I'm just wrapping it. If you have a thicker felt, I use Cricut felt for a hair bow I made my daughter that I'll show you guys, and it's really, really nice, and it's really good quality. So I was able to use my tweezers for longer, and I didn't have to worry so much. But because this is thinner, I do have to worry a little bit more about that. So I'm just going to take your time and spread it out, so you can see how this is different from the paper flowers, because you're not getting a tight roll. It's all laying on top of each other. The paper, the fibers break down, and you can, it loosens them up a little bit if they get too tight, whereas the felt doesn't really give you that option. So just keep that in mind. I'm trying to make sure I don't jiggle my phone too much here for you guys, but that you can still see. So once you get down towards the end, depending on how much you want to give yourself, I usually do like that. And I'm going to grab my hot glue gun, and I do a really nice size blob there. Again, this is going on a base, so we don't have to worry too much about how nice it looks. So I'm going to let that cool down. I'll show you guys quickly the bow I made my daughter. I just used a bow template from Design Space to get these two pieces here, and then I just glued a flower right on top. So you can see how this felt is much nicer, the Cricut felt. This is from the Summer Sky sampler, I believe, and it's a plum color. It's very pretty. And then I just hot glued a barrette to the back. Okay, so while that cools down for a minute, I'm going to show you guys, it's no nonsense, these are from Walmart. It's a one pair of knee-high, like a stocking. I have this piece already because I've used it before, and I'm gonna kind of stretch it out a little bit. I cut off that band at the top. I think I can show you guys from, I don't think I used the other one yet, so I can show you. Let's see. Yes, you can see this band at the top here. I cut that off of this one. It's actually not too bad, so you could probably use it, but I did cut it off. And I'm going to take this on my self-healing mat. I'll show you guys. I'm going to cut off about 1.5 inches. I have my rotary cutter. I just do this by hand, And I like to use the clear acrylic ruler when I do this because I can see underneath it to make sure nothing's moving too much. So I'm actually going to set this at a 3-inch mark and cut it at 1.5 because with this here, I can't quite get it. Okay, cut it right off. And what we're gonna do is just kind of stretch it out a little bit and roll it. So it kind of rolls up together. You can see that. You wanna roll it up like this. Okay, and you can see this is nice and stretchy. It's not gonna, it's perfect for babies because it's good for like all head sizes. My daughter had kind of a bigger head like her dad's, so doing stuff like this would have been perfect. I wish I had my Cricut back then. So now what I'm going to do is lay this out here, and I'm going to take my base. I'm going to kind of lay these out, squish them up together a little bit. However you want to do it, just so you can get an idea how it's going to look. Okay, and what I like to do is put this here, and I like to make sure I get it at a good angle. So it's going to be centered, and it's not going to be, you know, like, you don't really want it like this. You want it to be where it's going to hold the bulk of the weight, because you don't want it to be lopsided or anything. So I just kind of set it out and leave it there. I'm going to plop another glue stick in my glue gun here so we can finish up. I add a little bit of glue and I pop it in and I adhere it to the one that's already in there so that they stick together. It's a neat little trick I learned on Pinterest. Okay, so then what I do is I'm going to place a considerable amount of glue on here. I'm going to push this a little bit to make sure. And this is really why you want it really hot too, because this is going to take a little bit longer for it to dry. Twirl it around a little so you don't get all the stringy things. It's going to take a little bit longer to dry by doing this, and that's really gives you a little bit more time to get everything done. Okay, we're going to go over here and do the same thing. Okay, and that's the great thing too about getting the glue really hot. You don't have to worry about this. So you can see too, check where you had this side. That is going to go to the glue, so that adheres it all together. So that part that wasn't really so, you know, I should have put this on that side. I didn't pay too much attention then. But that's going to give you, it's going to really hold this all together. So for this, I'll make sure I put, you know, that part in where the glue is, because that's going to hold it all together. And just kind of pull this back. And again, check your nylon stocking. Make sure that it hasn't slipped or moved or anything like that. You want to make sure it's going to still be centered. Okay. You can even wrap the nylon stocking around like a cup or something like that to do this, and then put the base under it so it kind of stretches. It's up to you. See, I can see this moved a little bit, which is fine because my glue's still pretty hot, so I can just peek that under and I'm good. You can see how it looks from the back. And this is why I like to just put the leaves in here. So just toss a little bit of glue on the side. Whoops, I'm all stuck together. Okay. And then just pop it in there. Just a little peekaboo out. I think it looks nice to add that little element. It's a little something different. Okay, we'll do that on each side. And then you're done. So it's really easy to make these, and they make really great gifts. This actually was good timing. Everybody asked for this tutorial because I have a friend who's about to have a little girl, and I can add this in with some onesies for him. So we are going to pop that right in here. You know, add in a little bit more glue wherever you'd like. Let it all dry. There you go. Nice stretchy band. I'm gonna put it down here so you can see it's about 3¼ inches by 3¼ inches in total. So it's not that big, so it's a pretty good size, but just keep that in mind when you're making them, how big you want them depending on the baby's head. I actually tend to use some of my daughter's baby dolls as my models since she's so much bigger now. But that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed.